Hi everybody, my name is Jessy and thank you so much for joining me today. Now, it is no secret that I have had more than my fair share of setbacks in my 28 years of life. I have no doubt that in my next 28 years of life I will continue to have setbacks. But something that I've learned over the years is how to overcome them. Now, I'm going to put a disclaimer right here and tell you right now that I'm not 100% confident all of the time, and I don't deal with setbacks in the same way every time. But the one thing that I do experience is the super lows of what setbacks can bring to you. But I wanted to share an insight into how I deal with setbacks, maybe giving you some examples of some setbacks that I have experienced in my life, and hopefully it might help you in your setbacks or future setbacks, not to be so afraid of them. So I really struggled with being able to find a job when I graduated. That was probably one of the difficult things that I experienced in my adulthood. Is once you graduate, you have all these, or you're fed all these thoughts about how you're going to find a career and everything's going to be great, but really in reality I think it took me 4 months to find myself a graduate job, essentially. And 4 months is a long time, and I was watching a lot of my friends who were in different professions looking for jobs and finding them seemingly easily, and it can be quite a difficult thing. So one of my first jobs as a graduate came with a lot of fantastic opportunities, and I made one of my very best friends through that. She was my manager, who became my mentor, who is now still my mentor, but very much my very good friend. But the setback that I experienced in this job is actually after she left this workplace, and I was now under a very different manager who didn't lead by kindness or collaboration, instead led by fear and poor delegation, essentially. I was fresh off graduating, had so much hope and dreams, and I knew very little about the world of working, like professional working. But the one thing that I always had that was instilled in me by my parents was to work incredibly hard, so that whatever anybody can say about you, the one thing they can't say is that you don't work hard. I appreciate the lesson that I was given, because it has taught me how to work 7-day weeks, how 24-hour days sometimes. But in some ways I also feel like that wasn't the correct thing to teach me, because I have stayed in workplaces far longer than I needed to, because I was so afraid that if I left, it was me saying that I couldn't work hard enough to be suitable for that workplace, which again is completely wrong. Despite all the opportunities I was given and all the opportunities that I took, I ultimately had to leave that job without another job to think about. The reason that they gave for my abrupt leaving was because I wanted to pursue other things, when in reality it was because I couldn't deal with the management style anymore. I couldn't deal with the way that management was. It's all about all the things you're doing wrong. It doesn't matter how good your reviews are from your clients, or how complimentary people are in your work style, and how hard you work and how many extra hours you do. As a person who is me, and if you're anything like me, you try and blame yourself for a lot of these things, but through a lot of work I have managed to accept that it's not always been me. So I left this job without any income, without much savings really, with no job to go to. So the big setback that I experienced from that is that I had to start all over again. I felt very, very depressed about it. I felt very ashamed, because I kept on thinking to myself, could I have hung on longer? And how do I now start again? How I dealt with it was I did allow myself to go into a bit of a depression. But the one thing that really got me through that moment was this idea that I still had an opportunity to find what I was looking for, and that despite that setback, I still had myself that I believed in. I hadn't allowed myself yet to stop believing in myself. Another setback that I experienced in my life is in your relationships. So I have been in a long-term relationship now for almost 9 years, but something that not everybody knows is that myself and my partner went through a breakup. It was a really big setback in my life because I had dreamt of having a partner, whether that be female or male, who I was going to spend the rest of my life with, and I absolutely adore my partner Scott. He's the most amazing human being in the world. We were dealing with a lot of personal and professional things at the time, and so everything was incredibly difficult in our lives. I had this panic, basically. Okay, so I'm going to have to start again. I'm going to have to date, and I hate that. I've never internet dated before, which is apparently the thing now, because I sure as heck don't have friends that I can be set up with. I'm going to skip forwards really quick and say that we did get back together. You know, for 3 months we dealt with that full breakup. You have to know that it's not just the case of it was an easy breakup. It was a very hard breakup because we lived together. So I moved out and I found somewhere else. I had created this whole new life for myself within this 3 months, and during that time it was incredibly difficult because I was going through this thought that, okay, so my personal life, for once my professional life is going well, now I have to deal with my personal life being up in the air. So suddenly this whole thing happens where we've broken up, and it's like, okay, well, I am at 20, I'm closer to 30 than I am to 20. I'm not married, I'm not in a stable relationship. But let's face it, when you're in a long-term relationship and you don't think about breaking up, you have all the time in the world almost to have kids, but suddenly this realization of my age and how I was now no longer that close to having kids suddenly hit me, and again the depression hit. It was incredibly difficult. It's really hard personally to be able to deal with a setback like that, especially when time is not on your side necessarily. But I woke up one day and realized that if I was going to stay in bed all the time and cry about the things that I didn't have, I was going to miss and not enjoy the things that I did have. Also, this idea that, again, through this all, I still had myself, and that I really needed to just get up, show up for myself, and show myself that I still mattered. Nothing changed. I just needed to decide whether what I wanted in life was as realistic as it was, and that was time to realize a lot of things for myself and just rediscover my life for me. So whilst that was probably the biggest setback of my personal life, it also allowed me to grow a heck of a lot and discover things about myself. Those are 2 examples I wanted to give about setbacks and how I dealt with them, and I want to give you a little bit of, talk to you a little bit about setbacks and this whole idea that setbacks are a terrible thing. It is never nice to go through a setback, whatever age you're in. Like, it doesn't matter how old or how young you are, setbacks are rubbish. They are awful. But at the same time, if a setback happens, you have two choices to make. One, you let that setback consume you and overwhelm you and hold you back even further. Or you allow yourself to grieve a little bit for what could have been, but then realize that there are so much better things that can be. And you still have yourself through all of this. And that is so important, is that you don't lose faith in yourself and that belief that you can achieve everything that you still want to, whether it's professional or personal life. Setbacks are rubbish for everybody. Honestly, they are rubbish for everybody. But you have an opportunity to change your mindset from the way that you see the setback to how you can deal with it. I'm not saying that you can't grieve and you can't be sad. Let yourself be sad. Do not deal with toxic positivity. Don't deal with it. But do not let yourself live there forever. Setbacks are there to make you reevaluate your life and your journey, and gives you the opportunity to right the things that weren't really 100% correct for you. We can go through our whole life going through the same job, same relationships that don't really make us feel good, but we stay there because it's comfortable. I think sometimes setbacks are made so that we can shake up our lives a little bit and remind ourselves that actually we can achieve more and we can do more if that's what we want. Stop seeing the negativity in setbacks. Instead, see the positivity that you can by being able to grow. I hope you realize that setbacks are a difficult thing, and you acknowledge the fact that if you can get through it, you are incredibly strong. But there's no reason why absolutely anybody in whatever situation can overcome difficult situations. I hope that you have a wonderful day. I hope you stay good to yourself, and I'll see you later. Bye.